The first trial was set for dawn the next day, giving Marcus barely 12 hours to prepare for combat against a Kethron prince trained in warfare since childhood. He sat in his assigned quarters, running diagnostic checks on his equipment, when the door chimed. Enter. Celestin glided in, Thesa hovering protectively behind her. The princess's face was tight with worry and anger. "You're an idiot," she said without preamble. "So I've been told." Marcus gestured to the chair across from him. "Want to tell me specifically why, or should I guess?" Celestin's chair moved forward, but she didn't sit. "The trial of worth hasn't been invoked in over a century. Do you know why? Because it's designed to humiliate foreign suitors. The challenges are tailored to favor Valdrian and Kethron warriors. You don't stand a chance. Then why did you look at me the way you did in that throne room?" Marcus met her unseeing gaze. "Why did I see hope in your expression?" "Because I'm a fool, too," she whispered. "Because for one moment, I let myself believe someone might care enough to." Her voice broke. Marcus stood and moved to her, kneeling so they were at eye level. "I do care, Celestin. More than I probably should, after knowing you for less than 2 days. But I do. You'll be hurt. Davian is ruthless. He won't stop at victory. He'll destroy you to prove a point. Let him try." Marcus took her hand gently. "I've faced worse odds." Thesa spoke up from near the door. "Your Highness, there's something else." Ambassador Kryn of the Luxian Confederacy arrived this evening. He's been meeting privately with Lady Morgana and several noble houses. Celestin's expression darkened. "Kryn, of course. He's been trying to undermine Earth's position here for months." "Why?" Marcus asked. "The Luxian Confederacy wants exclusive access to Valdrian technology," Thesa explained. "If Earth establishes strong ties with us, it threatens their regional dominance. Kryn's been waiting for an opportunity to discredit your diplomatic mission. And I just handed him one," Marcus realized. "By accepting a challenge I'm likely to lose, I make Earth look weak." "Worse," Celestin said. "If you lose badly enough, it provides justification for King Aldrich to dissolve the Earth partnership entirely. Morgana has been pushing for that outcome. She favors the Luxian trade proposals." Marcus felt the political trap closing around him. "So I'm damned if I do, and damned if I don't." "You could withdraw," Celestin offered, though the words seemed to pain her. "Claim diplomatic immunity. Return to Earth before the trial begins. It would damage your mission, but you'd be safe. And you'd be left to face Davian alone. I've been facing people like Davian my entire life. I know." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Which is exactly why I'm not withdrawing. Someone needs to stand with you, not just for you." Tears slipped down Celestin's cheeks. "Why? Why does it matter so much to you?" Marcus wiped away her tears with his thumb, the gesture intimate and tender. "Because when I look at you, and I mean really look, I see someone extraordinary. Someone who's survived betrayal and isolation and still maintained their compassion. Someone who fights for what's right, even when everyone tells them to give up. How could I not stand beside someone like that?" Celestin's breath hitched. "Marcus." He leaned forward slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. Their lips met softly at first, tentative and exploring. Then Celestin's hand came up to cup his face, pulling him closer, and the kiss deepened with desperate intensity. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Celestin rested her forehead against his. "This is dangerous. I know. The court will use it against us. Against you. Let them. I could fall in love with you," she whispered. "I think I already am." Marcus's heart hammered in his chest. "Would that be so terrible?" "It would be if I lost you tomorrow." He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "Then I'll make sure you don't. I'll win this trial, Celestin. Not because I want to claim some right to court you. You're not property to be won. But because I want the chance to choose you, and for you to choose me, without political pressure or ancient laws forcing the decision. Thesa cleared her throat gently. Your Highness, we should go. If anyone discovers you here at this hour— I don't care, Celestin said fiercely. I don't care what they think anymore. But she reluctantly pulled away from Marcus. Promise me you'll be careful tomorrow. I promise. As Celestin and Thesa left, Marcus sat back down, his mind racing. He needed an advantage, something unexpected. His fingers flew over his data pad, accessing every piece of information he could find about the trial of worth. Catherine combat techniques and Valdrian energy weapons. 3 hours before dawn, he finally found it a loophole so obscure it had been forgotten for generations. The crystal arena blazed with artificial sunlight as nobles gathered on floating platforms to watch the first trial. Marcus stood in the center, wearing light combat armor and carrying a standard energy blade. Across from him, Davian emerged in his full war gear, looking like a god of destruction. Last chance to surrender, human, Davian called. I'll try to make your defeat quick. How merciful, Marcus replied dryly. King Aldrich's voice boomed across the arena. The first trial tests combat prowess. The challenge will continue until one fighter yields or is rendered unable to continue. Begin. Davian moved with terrifying speed, his blade crackling with energy as he closed the distance. Marcus barely managed to parry the first strike, the impact sending shock waves through his arms. The second and third strikes came too fast, driving him backward. The crowd murmured this would be over quickly, but Marcus wasn't trying to win through force. He was buying time, letting Davian establish his pattern. The Catherine prince fought with precision and power, but there was arrogance in his technique, an assumption of superiority that created tiny openings. You're better than I expected, Davian admitted, pressing his attack. But not good enough. Marcus ducked under a slash that would have taken his head off, rolled to the side, and came up with his blade, deflecting another strike. You're assuming this is the fight I'm trying to win. What? Davian's concentration broke for just an instant. Marcus didn't attack. Instead, he deliberately lowered his weapon and called out, I invoke the right of alternative challenge. The arena fell silent. Even Davian froze, confusion crossing his features. What are you doing? King Aldrich demanded Marcus turn to address the royal platform. According to the ancient texts, specifically the Codex of Honorable Combat, written by Sage Viridian in the Second Age, any participant in the trial of worth may invoke an alternative challenge if they believe the primary test doesn't truly measure worthiness. Morgana leaned forward, her patterns flickering with surprise. That provision hasn't been used in over 8 centuries. Most scholars believe it was apocryphal. But it exists in the legal record, Marcus pressed. And unless it's been formally revoked, it remains valid law. King Aldrich consulted with his advisors in hushed tones. Finally, he spoke. What alternative do you propose, Ambassador? A test of strategic wisdom. Each of us will be given a complex diplomatic scenario involving Valdria's actual current challenges. We'll have 2 hours to develop solutions. Princess Celestin and a panel of neutral advisors will judge whose strategy better serves Valdrian interests. The crowd erupted in debate. Davian's expression turned furious. This is ridiculous. The trial is meant to test physical prowess. The trial is meant to test worthiness to court a royal, Marcus countered. Physical strength matters less than strategic thinking when your potential partner is one of the most brilliant political minds in Valdria. Celestin's voice rang out clear and strong. I agree to judge this alternative challenge. Ambassador Webb is correct that ancient texts do provide for this option. She turned her face toward her father. Unless your majesty believes I'm not qualified to assess strategic thinking? It was a brilliant trap. If Aldrich denied her the role, he'd be admitting she lacked the judgment he'd previously claimed she possessed. If he agreed, the trial shifted to ground where Marcus might actually stand a chance. Very well, Aldrich said after a long pause. The first trial will proceed as an assessment of strategic wisdom. Prepare the scenario chambers. As servants rushed to set up the new test, Davion approached Marcus with murder in his eyes. Clever, human. But this changes nothing. I've been trained in political strategy since childhood. You're a diplomat from a primitive world. This will be over before it begins. We'll see, Marcus said calmly. The scenario they were given was fiendishly complex. Valdria faced a trade dispute with 3 neighboring systems, each with conflicting interests and historical grievances. Additionally, there were internal political tensions between noble houses and growing unrest in the outer colonies. They had to propose a comprehensive strategy that addressed all elements without triggering war or economic collapse. Marcus worked furiously, his diplomatic training finally proving useful. He didn't try to match Valdrian knowledge. He couldn't. Instead, he approached the problem from an outside perspective, finding connections and compromises that someone steeped in Valdrian politics might miss. 2 hours later, they presented their solutions to a panel consisting of Celestin, Priestess Solara the kingdom's spiritual advisor, and General Thorn, head of Valdrian military forces. Davion went first, delivering a polished presentation that emphasized military strength and trade coercion. It was technically sound but aggressive, prioritizing Valdrian dominance over genuine partnership. When Marcus presented, he took a different approach. The core issue isn't resources or power, it's trust. These systems have been hurt by Valdria in the past. Any solution that doesn't acknowledge that history and offer genuine reconciliation will fail. He outlined a 3-phase plan: acknowledgement of past wrongs, establishment of neutral arbitration mechanisms, and creation of shared economic opportunities that benefited all parties. For the internal tensions, he proposed giving outer colonies more autonomy rather than tighter control. It's not the strongest solution militarily, Marcus admitted, but it's sustainable, and it transforms enemies into allies rather than just forcing compliance. The panel deliberated for what felt like hours. Finally, Celestin spoke. Prince Davion's strategy is efficient and powerful. It would achieve immediate results through force of will and economic pressure. She paused. Ambassador Webb's strategy is riskier and requires patience. But it's the only one that actually solves the underlying problems rather than suppressing them. Priestess Solara nodded agreement. The human sees beyond immediate gain to lasting peace. That is wisdom. Even General Thorn, who'd been skeptical of Marcus throughout, conceded. I don't like admitting this, but the ambassador's approach would reduce military expenditure long-term and increase stability. From a strategic standpoint, it's superior. Then the first trial goes to Ambassador Webb, Celestin announced. The arena erupted in shock and celebration in equal measure. Davion's face turned ashen with rage, but he couldn't protest without challenging the panel's judgment and questioning Celestin's competence, which would undermine his own courtship goals. As the crowd dispersed, Marcus found himself pulled aside by Ambassador Kryn, the Luxian diplomat. Kryn was a sleek, serpentine alien whose scales shimmered with opalescent colors. Impressive performance, Ambassador Webb, Kryn said, his voice smooth as silk. Though I wonder how you'll fare in the remaining trials. Physical and strategic challenges are one thing, but the trial of devotion, that requires something deeper. Is there a point to this conversation? Marcus asked bluntly. Kryn's smile widened. Simply offering friendly advice. The princess is charming, certainly, but attachment to her is politically unwise. The noble houses will never accept her as a true power. If Earth wants lasting influence here, you'd do better to distance yourself now, while you still have some credibility. Thanks for the advice, Marcus said coldly. I'll be sure to ignore it completely. Your choice. Kryn shrugged. But when this ends badly, and it will remember that the Luxian Confederacy offers alternatives. We don't require emotional entanglements to do business. As Kryn slithered away, Marcus felt a presence beside him. Thesa had appeared silently, her expression worried. Ambassador Kryn is dangerous, she said quietly. He's been meeting with Lord Barrett, one of the most influential nobles. They're planning something. What kind of something? I don't know yet, but Celestin asked me to warn. You trust no one at court except her and me. Marcus nodded slowly. Where is she now? In her chambers. She wanted me to tell you. Thesa hesitated. She wanted me to tell you that she's proud of what you did today, and terrified of what tomorrow might bring. Tomorrow's the trial of devotion? Yes, it's the most dangerous, because it's the most subjective. Davian will have prepared something dramatic, something designed to make you look selfish or cowardly by comparison. Thesa met his eyes. What will you do? Marcus thought of Celestin's smile, her fierce intelligence, the way she'd opened up to him despite every reason not to. Whatever it takes, he said simply. That night, Marcus was reviewing possible scenarios for the next trial when his door burst open. A guard rushed in, his patterns flashing urgent red. Ambassador, there's been an incident in Princess Celestin's chambers. You need to come now? Marcus's blood went cold. He ran through the palace corridors, the guard leading him to the east tower. Smoke poured from Celestin's doorway, and he could hear Thesa's voice calling for help. He pushed through the damaged door and found chaos. The room was partially destroyed, crystal furniture shattered, star charts dissolved into static. Thesa knelt beside Celestin's overturned chair, the princess unconscious on the floor. What happened? Marcus dropped to his knees beside them, checking Celestin for injuries. Someone sabotaged her hover chair, Thesa said, tears streaming down her face. It exploded. She managed to trigger the emergency shutdown, but the energy discharge. She couldn't continue. Marcus gently lifted Celestin, feeling for a pulse. It was there, but weak. Her silver skin was marked with burns, and her breathing was shallow. Get medical help, he ordered the guard. Now! As healers rushed in and began treating Celestin, Marcus stood back, his hands shaking with fury and fear. This wasn't an accident. Someone had tried to kill her, and he had a very good idea who. Priestess Solara arrived, her aged features grave. She examined Celestin with practiced efficiency. She lives, but she needs rest. The energy burns are serious. Who did this? Marcus demanded. That, said a voice from the doorway, is what we intend to discover. King Aldrich entered, his expression thunderous. Behind him came General Thorn, and surprisingly, Davian, whose face showed genuine shock and horror. I swear on my house's honor, I had nothing to do with this, Davian said immediately. Whatever our rivalry, I would never resort to assassination. Marcus wanted to disbelieve him, but the Kethran prince's energy signature visible, even to his human eyes, as a subtle aura showed only truth and outrage. Then who? Marcus asked. General Thorn stepped forward. We found this near the device that sabotaged the hover chair. He held up a small crystal device marked with familiar symbols. Luxian technology. Ambassador Kryn, Marcus breathed. He told me earlier that attachment to Celestin was politically unwise. He wanted me to distance myself. And when you refused, King Aldrich said slowly, he decided to remove the obstacle entirely. But why? Davian asked. What does killing the princess gain him? Marcus understood with sudden, horrible clarity. It's not about killing her, It's about blaming me. If I'd been found near a dead or dying princess, Earth's alliance with Valdria would be destroyed. The Luxian Confederacy would step in as the alternative. And I, Davian added bitterly, would have been the obvious suspect, which would also destroy Kethran relations with Valdria. One attack, eliminating two rival powers. King Eldric's patterns flashed with rage. Find Kryn, now. But the Luxian ambassador was already gone, his ship having left orbit an hour earlier right after the explosion. As guards dispersed and healers worked, Marcus sat beside Celestine's bedside, holding her burned hand gently. She stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "Marcus?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here. The trial, tomorrow, ... Forget the trial. You need to heal. No." Her grip on his hand tightened with surprising strength. "You need to finish this. Prove that what we have," she coughed, wincing. "Prove it's real. Not just ... political." "It is real," Marcus said fiercely. "Celestine, I love you. I know it's too soon, and I know the circumstances are insane, but I do. The trial doesn't matter. This," he gestured between them, "matters." Tears slipped down her face. "And prove it tomorrow. The trial of devotion tests what you're willing to sacrifice. Show them. Show everyone that I'm worth fighting for." Marcus leaned down and kissed her forehead gently. "You're worth everything." As dawn broke on the third day, Marcus stood once again in the crystal arena, but this time the atmosphere was different. Word of the assassination attempt had spread, and the crowd's mood was somber. Celestine sat in a temporary hover chair, still weak, but refusing to miss the final trial. Davian entered from the opposite side, and for the first time there was respect in his eyes when he looked at Marcus. "The trial of devotion," King Eldric announced, his voice heavy with emotion, "tests what a suitor is willing to give up for the one they court. Each of you will be asked to make a sacrifice. The one who demonstrates greater devotion claims victory." A holographic display appeared, showing two scenarios simultaneously. "For Davian, renounce your claim.